Okay, here's another League of Legends game coming your way, this time in the jungle. And since this is a post-game commentary, I can go ahead and tell you that I'm Fiddlesticks, as the title implies. So looking at my team comp right now, I was under the impression we are going to need a source of AP. And the thing is, Nasus can fill the tank duty for the team, so I can just go raw AP, such as Fiddlesticks. Now, he himself has not received any changes since I last did the video, or the previous video in February, I think it was. And yes, it's March, but you wonder what all could possibly change in 1 month. And the answer to that is the Runic echoes. So I'll explain as we go, but this is the mastery page. You can see I'm speccing into ferocity, ability damage. I forgot what double-edged sword, there we go. For increased damage, then the scaling AD AP, the oppressor because I supply CC through the form of my fear, and if I gotta realize my slow, but I don't get one here. Magic penetration, then the Deathfire touch. On the other side, since I still don't know how savagery interacts with drain, I figure I'd just play it safe, grab Wanderer, that way I can move from place to place and make some plays. And I will go ahead and tell you this, well, there's a couple things to mention here. The first of which is that since this is a post-game commentary and I'm not using a lantern skin, the reason for that is pretty simple. It's just there was a lot going on here, and as such, I am going to be a little distracted for the beginning of the game. You still will see some fiddle out plays, don't worry. It's just they're going to be spaced out over the video, but yes, my first kill will be one on Lee Sin the jungler, in case you're wondering. But otherwise, I'm not sure how many know this, but Fiddlesticks is my third most played character overall. Number 1 being Nocturne, 2 Skarner, and yes, all 3 are junglers, go figure. So one thing to point out here real quick is, I don't know what it is with Malzahar and Zed, but the day I recorded this, I kept seeing that mid lane matchup. I don't know why. Like, I really am at a loss here. Normally, Malzahar is extremely rarely played, but that day, whenever Zed popped up, Malzahar was on the other team. No exceptions. You can see Wanderer, then the Runic, I forgot what the thing is that lets you keep your spells longer. Merciless for execute effect, and Dangerous Game for clutch heals, because as a result of your Crowstorm, you do kind of go in deep. But anyway, here's the loading screen. I think this took a while, but we'll see. You can see my little banner in the top left corner of the portrait. Fiddle is my third most played, and still I only have the Roman numeral 1. I don't actually play anyone enough to get the Roman numeral 2. But otherwise, Nautilus would have been another decent pick if I wanted an AP jungler, since he does a lot of magic damage. You can definitely go for an AP bruiser-like build on him. Thing is, he's more of a damage over time thing, since you'd get the Cinder Hulk, and he doesn't really have any big burst. It's just, due to the amount of CC at his disposal, he can just put out a lot of sustained damage. But anyway, if you take a look at the keystones, we have Lee Sin using Strength of the Ages. That's going to make him a little bit more tanky, but I'm not quite sold on that with Lee Sin. Vayne is using Fervor of Battle, decent, but she does run into a little bit of problems if she falls behind. Severe is also running that. The supports have matching keystones also in Bond of Stone, so that they can share some of the pain from their AD carries. Now, I don't know if Nautilus can actually use his shield to absorb some of the damage. It's one of those things that I kind of wonder about, but I'm never in a situation to really tell, and on the other hand, I just don't play anything in the bot lane these days. As for the mid lane, I don't know why Zed has Deathfire Touch, but he does. Kind of figured he'd go for the Thunderlords like Malzahar did, but even still, since Malz is a dot mage, he should be using Deathfire Touch. Those two have their keystones backwards. Fiora, you can see right there, Thunderlords. She's up against Gangplank, who's also using it. It's just there's weird keystones in this matchup, because normally those two would be going for Grasp of the Undying so they can just slug it out back and forth. But can't really stress enough, this is going to be a little bit of a weird game. As for my start, I went for the Hunter's Talisman and 1 potion. I'm staying in the brush over here just because when a Blitzcrank is on the field, the chance of getting invaded practically triples. Anyway, as for the Hunter's Talisman, the reason why I went for that one is a couple-fold. First of which is it gives you mana regeneration, which is very, very important for Fiddlesticks in the jungle. Number 2 is that it has a damage over time debuff, so you only have to attack an enemy once to get it to burn. This is very helpful for clearing out the small camps, especially when you lob your crow. And you'll also see me do some of the camps the optimal way, where you want to auto-attack the small camp while you wait for Drain to come off cooldown to work on the big camp. I'll explain that as we go. But as for the Runic Echoes, that's going to be my jungle item here. Stalker's Blade for the slow, also to supply me some CC for my oppressor, because I don't go Rylai's this game. The enemy team isn't really mobile enough to justify it, with Malzahar, Gangplank, Blitzcrank. But the Echoes themselves, I believe they do something like 20 less damage. They have 3 or so % less movement speed, something like that. Anyway, you smite to secure that because the Toadstool buff is very helpful for clearing out the jungle camps, because it will reflect a little bit of damage back. Yes, but it still helps. So right here you can see me auto-attacking the small camps as I wait for Drain to come off cooldown. That will speed up your clear in terms of efficiency. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any form of CC to go after the Scuttle Crab. I have neither the Heavy Hands from the Golems nor my Terrify. As such, I'm pretty much committed into going to the Wolf Camp. Now, for Fiddlesticks, you usually want to rush level 6 unless you know you can arrive in time for a timely counter gank, or someone overextends horribly. Since I'm not really anticipating either of those, I'm going for the full clear to power rush level 6. Right there, I attack the small wolf so that the burn goes over the 5 seconds and potentially could kill it while I drain the big camp. In case you're wondering, the way this all works is you may save 1 second per camp. I'm basing this off of Fiddle's attack speed, just in case you're wondering. And that should be his base attack speed, I want to say, because my nuke page is hybrid penetration marks, so my auto attacks and my spells do a little bit extra. Scaling armor yellow, 6 scaling MR blues, 3 scaling CDR blues, that's why I have 1%, as you can see, which will go all the way up to 5% by the time I get to level 18. In case you're wondering, I don't get that high in this game. And then flat AP Quints. That will add some damage onto Drain and help your clear immensely. Like, I probably should have looked into this beforehand in the game, but I want to say Drain has like a 0.4 AP ratio. Like, I could be off by a good margin because I really am trying to grasp from memory here. But the flip side of that is that's per second, and Drain has a 5-second channel time. So if you can get all 5 seconds off, that is a basically 2-point AP ratio spell. So right here is my battle against Lee Sin. If you notice, he doesn't have red buff. Right there, without his ult, he actually has no way to interrupt Drain. Thing is, I'm not durable enough and I don't have enough AP to just tank everything. So instead I have to basically play the cooldown game. When he tried to jump over to me, I feared him, and then I just put up the Drain. Dead monk. Never saw it coming. Yes, I went there. So that in turn gave me a fresh new blue buff, which is pretty helpful because mine was timing out. But in the event he had the red buff, he would have been a little bit more dangerous, and the red buff slow probably would have been enough to actually let him get to safety. I can't explain why he didn't have it, I'm just pointing out that he didn't.
The end is near.
So as you can see here, Zed is not having a good time. Now I believe Malefic Visions only does count as one stack towards Thunderlords, which is why Mal should be going for Deathfire Touch. As the Mid-Year Mage rework, that may change, but I'm talking about the current builds. Anyway, on that back, I did not have enough gold to pick up an Amplifying Tome. As such, I'm relying on my flat AP Quints as well as my, I want to say it's Natural Mastery. I forgot what the Mastery is that gives you AP per level. But that's what I'm using to basically amplify my spells, ever so slightly.
Fear me.
So right here I wanted to try to loop behind to get Malzahar. Since he's immobile, my fear can be very devastating to him. Unfortunately, Lee was close behind, and as such I have to take off. Now all the damage I took there is not really a problem because I can just walk over to the wolf camp and drain it back. Now if you notice the minimap, Lee is headed this way. He spots the pink ward, so it does go to waste. But you can see I'm healthy. I go ahead and smite the wolf camp so that if he decides to come deeper we can see him. But very, very briefly lived pink ward, unfortunately. Now, unfortunately right here, there really isn't much I can do. I'm trying to ping that Lee is coming and hopefully serving as some sort of disengage to a potential fight. But with the blue buff spawning soon, I kind of wanted to go back to grab an Amplifying Tome. The 20 AP will help significantly with your clear because, like I said, if I'm remembering correctly, Drain with a full channel has a 2.0 AP ratio. New pink ward, of course. So that 20 AP is actually going to become 40 points of damage. May not seem like a lot, but it really does make a difference. Unfortunately, I do need more ranks into the move to get the cooldown lower. And unfortunately, with the Fiddlesticks build, you're going to see me go here. CDR is a real luxury. I'm only going to get some from the Lucid Boots. So in this case, it's very important for me to keep the blue buff because it's going to give me mana for any sort of skirmish that erupts, as well as just CDR so I can get more rotations of my spells off. And with that we have hit level 6, Crowstorm unlocked. So right here I'm trying to auto-attack the small camps, get the burn going. That way while I'm doing the big one, they have a chance to pop on their own from the burn damage. So I'm guessing right there he was trying to point out, hey, Lee is there. I don't know how he saw it exactly, but you can see Lee is indeed heading top. I was a little afraid he might try to steal the red, which is why I tried to take this real quick. Red buff does have a lot of health, but Fiddle is really good with single target damage. One of the things I was hoping to do this game was try to solo the Rift Herald, but due to the way things start to play out, I never actually get the opportunity to even try.
An enemy has been slain.
Anyway, rank 4 Drain, more damage, lower cooldown, and right here I really do outsmart Lee. So that ward is going to catch him quite a bit, and his teammates in other circumstances. Right there I took Crowstorm off the smart cast so that I can see the range indicator, and right there I was just staying, hoping that Malzahar would walk out a little bit further and then I could ult in behind him and potentially kill him. Or get Zed to kill him, but key thing is I just wanted him dead. So right there, a little bit of counter jungling due to Fiddle's single target damage. He's really good at that. And fortunately right here is a bit of a lost opportunity. I was kind of hoping Fiora would push in, then I could ult under the tower, Fiora could ult, and we could just burn down Gangplank as soon as he teleports in. But unfortunately, Fiora just doesn't push, so I'm actually wasting my time here, but it's one of those little hindsight things. So I wanted to throw the bird out there to harass him as well as try to give the lane a bit of a push for our dive. It's just it never materializes.
The end is near.
Like right here, I'm trying to pull the minions to the side so ours can advance. At this point, I figure I just tried too much. I wasted too much time. The enemy team got dragon, while we really didn't get anything. Even still, Fiora is having a rough time in that lane. Now this is a little bit unfortunate. So if you didn't see what happened there, Lee kicked me away to sort of disengage from my ult right before my crow could silence him. As such, I lost out on some crow storm damage, and we were potentially denied a kill. It's just really, really unfortunate, because a split second longer on his kick, he would have been silenced and then he couldn't have kicked. But he has good reflex, and as such, he gets to live another day. As for the bot lane, Vayne killed Severe, then died to Nautilus. So their AD carry got the kill while ours just died. That means I need to hopefully do something bot. As for Fiddlesticks, there's 3 items on him that I'd say are core. First of which is Runic Echoes, obviously for being a jungle item. Number 2 being the Zhonya's Hourglass, so you can jump into the middle of the enemy team, go into stasis, and just watch them melt your crows. And the third and final one being the Abyssal Scepter. Fiddle's passive will reduce the enemy's MR anyway, so the Abyssal Scepter will provide an extra 20 reduction. And even though I'm not going to be going for penetration boots, I can still deal some respectable damage by reducing enemy MR. One downside, of course, is other than Nautilus, I want to say, no one else on the team does magic damage to take advantage of the reduction. So, yeah. Anyway, level 8 means I get another point in my queue, so the fear will last longer.
The end is near.
Blue buff is coming up, so I can get this for CDR. It's also worth some gold and everything too, so there's that. Right there, just auto the small ones, cast on the big ones. And since there's a pink ward in that brush, I know I have safe passage here. It's just once I get over here, it's not so safe. And unfortunately, you can see our team is kind of losing the trade with Vayne. So much so that ultimately Sphere does die to Blitz. Nautilus is in bad shape himself. I don't have anything off cooldown other than Smite. So yeah, the minions actually killed her there. Then once Drain came off cooldown, I picked up Blitz. By the way, I slowed her there so that she couldn't pull anything fancy to get away. Auto attack just for additional damage, and since she was slowed in the minions, they were able to execute. So double kill, and I did not have to burn my Crow Storm. That's a really good scenario for me. So right here I didn't know if Mal's went back or not. I decided to just lob the Crow in and hope for the best. It is enough to get me level 9, so max drain. And right here I wanted to take a few steps so that I could get the Runic Echoes ready to pop. And as a result, all these small chickens died just like that. Now, red buff is not as important on Fiddlesticks as it is on a lot of other junglers, but it does help from time to time. Worst come to worst, it is an additional slow for you to apply so you can get some additional damage out of the Oppressor Mastery that we took before the game started. But most of the time for Fiddles, I'm not really expecting it to ever really make a big difference. Anyway, right here you can see Lee walked over our pink ward. He didn't notice it. He might not know I'm here, but I decided to go ahead and tell him that I know he is. So once again, his kick goes off before my silence connects, and Lee lives with next to nothing. Unfortunately, one of the things that I've already concluded here is do not rely on Zed. Just by taking that ward, he kind of tipped them off to the presence of our pink ward, but it's going to take them a little while yet to find it. So I wanted to go for the sweeper here so that I could deny vision and potentially ult in from Fog of War. Lucid Boots for more flash, more spells, all the good stuff. And we also have the needlessly large rod to increase our damage output while putting us closer to the Zonia's hourglass. Now right here I noticed Vayne has Phantom Dancer, and I've been seeing this more and more frequently these days. I really don't understand why they would do that, but they are. I don't know if there's some sort of secret there that I don't know about or what. The only thing I can say is that it's becoming an increasingly more frequent encounter. Anyway, right there I wait for Nautilus to smash the ward. Unfortunately, Lee did bypass me here, but I tried to tell my team, hey, turn on him. He's an easy kill. I smite Vayne there just to set her up for the severe kill. Fortunately, I did have to help out with my drain, so it's not a Now, without blue buff and the fact that I'm not in the jungle anymore, I can very easily run out of mana against the dragon here. As such, at this particular time, I actually do need my teammates' help to secure this. And right there, they are going to kill me. I'm not entirely sure what it was Lee did that secured it. I'm gonna guess maybe the red buff. But I'm going to make them suffer for the next 10 minutes for that. Don't worry. So Lee goes down. Unfortunately, the Gangplank ult does show up here to turn things around a little bit. As a result, they do get Zed instead of just getting swept clean. And in reality, that's really the most they could have hoped for, because they were in a really bad spot. So I went ahead and picked up Distortion Boots so that I can use Flash more often. Since Fiddle is one of those immobile mages that is deserving of a mid-year mage update, you need something to complement his lack of mobility. Because I doubt Riot's going to be doing anything for him in the near future. But otherwise, I am taking advantage of the recipe change for the Zonia's Hourglass. I can get 2 cloth armors to better deal with Gangplank and Vayne's damage, and Lee's also, I guess.
Enemy rampage.
Right here, Gangplank flashed, in case you're wondering how he covered so much ground so quickly. And you may say, the Crow Storm was a bit of a waste. I was a little bit off of level 11. But the thing is, by killing him, we did get a shutdown, so the entire team got some gold. I think it was like 70 extra gold per person. It may not seem like a lot, it's just like 3 free minions, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But you can see I'm starting to clear these camps very quickly. And yes, if I had Crowstorm up, I could have just ulted in and tried to kill Mal's, but I'm fine doing things just like this. So Fiora is the one who's getting the gold, but the important thing is I'm getting EXP still. So that means I can get more points for my skills, and then just more raw stats for my scaling stuff. And I wanted to try to get that ward at the last second, but it timed out. In case you're wondering, my current red buff came from Gangplank. This is our team's. And with my current amount of CDR, it's pretty easy for me to actually just keep my drain going non-stop until something dies.
I feel your fear.
So right here I probably would have tried to solo the Rift Herald if not for the whole part about it not being there. Right here is the next duel between Gangplank and Fiora. I don't know why she went back in, but she did. She died, I killed Gangplank. In reality, if she had just run away, I would have killed him anyway. She would have lived, and we would have had a better gain from the team. That way, Gangplank would have just died. She still would have gotten assist gold. I still would have gotten kill gold. We would have just been denying them about... yeah, it would be 300 gold. We would have net 450-ish instead of just 150. But anyway, once it was all said and done, I would have enough for my Seekers, I just don't have enough for my Zonias yet. And as such, I need to go get the chicken camp.
The end is
I was a little tempted there to put another point into my E so I don't have to worry about those things surviving ever again. But the flip side is, if I get an AP item, I'll get the extra damage anyway. And in case you're wondering why I took the wolves, I was kind of afraid Fiora was going to take them. Unfortunately, after a certain part, you start to get counter-jungled more by your team than the enemy.
Double kill.
So right here, Mel's gonna ult Fiora. Unfortunately for him, he decides to do that after I throw the bird. In case you're wondering, the silence from the Dark Wind will indeed stop Mel's ult. And as such, he still dies, Fiora lives, and his ult is on a 80-second cooldown, I want to say. So just really bad for him all around. To make things worse, after he died, we just go ahead and take the tower. So, big gold swing for our team. And right here I am watching the minimap to see if they actually do get to me. When I saw that they weren't, I wasn't really worried. So right here I was thinking, do I want to go Death Cap for my third item? And ultimately I decide no, I'm sticking to the plan, going Abyssal. It will make me a little bit tankier and it'll amplify my damage while I'm at it. Can't go wrong with that. So I honestly have no idea why Zed backed off quite like that. He should have been able to kill Vayne, like old Vayne, do his combo, then shadow out and she'd die, but I don't know. So right here I have to outplay Gangplank. So I decide to ult where I'm standing. Without vision, he walks right to the middle. I fear him, pop his orange, start draining him. After he ults and my drain has timed out, I just pop Zonia's and he dies to the Deathfire touch. So in the end, we did not get Dragon, but I'm still doing everything in my power to slow down GP.
fear me.
First place, I am in a bit of a rough spot since you can now just push W to get rid of my fear, which is one of the single most important parts of playing Fiddlesticks. And I guess to make it worse, he's doing pretty well in the top lane, all things considered. I should explain right here, in case you're wondering what I'm doing. I'm standing close enough in the lane to actually siphon the EXP from the lane minions while I'm actually fighting the jungle minions. So it's just one of those weird things where you're actually optimizing your EXP gain at the cost of the gold generation you could have gotten from killing the lane minions, then going to the jungle camps. I knew I wasn't going to have enough for the Abyssal anyway, so that's why I was more inclined to go for the EXP route.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
So GP kills Severe, but took 3 of us to kill him. Not sure if you noticed, but he's going for the crit carry Gangplank build rather than any sort of tanky bruiser type deal. And if you're wondering why I'm pointing this out, it's just he's going to be squishy as hell as a result, and that's going to be the saving grace if I ever have to fight him. So pink ward in the brush, I actually need to
Rampage.
smite the chickens, but oh well.
The end is near.
So right here I'm trying to get into the fog while I look for a proper angle to attack from, and not sure if you noticed, but my pink ward is still standing. They will find it eventually, but this one is far, far more efficient than the previous one. Anyway, no wards here, so it's Crow Storm time, boys. So I fear Vayne. I actually managed to avoid the GP ult. I hit GP with the Dark Wind. Fiora goes ahead and picks up Mal's. Blitz unfortunately pulls me. I mean unfortunately for him, because I have him deliver my Crow into Lee. He still does kill Severe, but he's dead to rights. Meanwhile, I go ahead and kill Blitz myself. And GP took some damage from me recently enough to where when Fiora splatters him, he gives me an assist. So in the end, they did get our AD carry, yes, but we got 4 of them, and Vayne had to go back. And just in case she got lost, we decided to send her back to Fountain one more time. So I didn't actually contribute any damage to the Vayne kill, I just provided CC through my fear. In case you didn't notice, I'm actually getting a disproportionate number of kills, and as such, I don't want to continue to monopolize things, because then the enemy strategy just becomes throw everything at me, and then most of the team's gold is gone. By actually making sure to not deal damage and try to spread the kills out, it's very hard for the enemy to try to pick one of us off. And you have to remember, with Lee Sin in his kick, Malzahar in his ult, arguably Vayne with Condemn, well, just Blitz in general, they have a very strong pick comp. And as such, you do not want to funnel everything onto a single person here, because you're just setting yourself up for disaster. But anyway, I'm still trying to keep farming, that way I'll have enough to get my Abyssal and get part of my death cap on the next back. Due to the MR reduction that comes from Fiddle's passive as well as the Abyssal, I don't really have to worry about getting a Void Staff. It's not exactly the most optimal thing, but I can make it work. So yeah, I don't think I ever actually used that potion that I put in my number 2 slot. In case you're wondering, early game I only bought 1 because Fiddle is a very, very safe clear. So much so that if that's indeed the potion I started the game with, we're almost 30 minutes in and I still haven't used it. So I could have sold the potion and then just waited for enough gold to buy the blasting wand of my death cap, but I didn't really think it was needed. So, yeah. But with my finished Abyssal and the new needlessly large rod, right here I'm trying to tank the buff in case you're wondering, as well as just siphon the EXP from it. With the extra needlessly large rod, I can clear with just amazing speed. And I can also deal a lot of damage, as Blitzcrank is going to be finding out right here. So right here I auto it and walk away to try to pull it out from the pit. Lee is still going to queue in. Not really much I can do about that. And right there, GP horribly botched his whole triple barrel thing. But I spied at the last second, so Lee didn't get a damn thing. I I go ahead and kill Blitz, not entirely sure how, and I was prepared to ult over this wall and flash, but he's just dead to rights. There's no point in wasting my summoner spell or my ult for that. And I still got an assist, I notice. Huh. Yeah, that was definitely not worth my ult. So right there you can see the disengage they have. And fortunately Lee is a little bit tanky enough to actually withstand what I throw at him for the time being. I definitely do need a death cap and void staff in order to properly deal with him from here. And right here I make the martyr play. So Vayne limps out, so does Malzahar, and Blitz, and Lee. We have our rematch right here. You can see Lee's Bomb Malmoria saves him, and then Blitz exhausted me. If not for that, I actually could have put my drain up and potentially lived, because I don't think Lee had anything to actually interrupt my drain. It's just, with the exhaust, my damage output is lowered, and as such, my heal amount from my drain is also reduced. Just nasty stuff, folks. But anyway, I notified my team that Blitz's exhaust was down, so we can take advantage of in the next fight. Unfortunately, I don't believe there is a next fight. The enemy team is going to surrender once I get back up. Oh no, there's going to be one more fight, that's right. So this fight is going to show you what Fiddlesticks can do in a team fight when his ult is down. In case you're wondering, yes, I was pissed that Fiora was taking this, since she really doesn't need it, and I very much do. But we make do. As for Mal's right there, as pointed out in his build, I'm not a fan of that. He has a bit of a wave clear thing going on with the the Ludens. But why do people keep building Rod of Ages on Mal's? It is not a good item for him. It just confuses me. So anyway, right there you can see Fiora is caught. She rushes to us. I go ahead and silence GP. Go ahead and take his life. Unfortunately, I'm not really in a position to help against Vayne, but I can deal with Blitz, Mal's. Now right here, notice, I'm under effect by the Malefic Visions as well as Malzahar's Ignite, so in order to survive, I had to Zonia's. Even in the event I tried to drain Blitz or stand Fiora's ult, with the healing reduction that comes from Ignite, there's just nothing that I could have done to live otherwise. I had to go Stasis. Now right here my team is going ahead and ending the game. Right here I'm just going for some additional padding to my stats, as well as healing up. In the event Lee Sin made some sort of miracle play, I wanted to make sure I was in tip-top shape to go deal with him. Like I said, this is just padding my stats. In case you're wondering, I had a slot open for a crate, even though I've only opened one that requires a key to date. I still figure I may as well grab the chest while I have the opportunity. So that's the end of the game, and it's time to look at our stats. Surprise, S-rank Fiddlesticks. So right here I was looking at the various stats. I have 19 out of 33 kill participation. You can see the damage dealt. I was number 2 for the team. I was not expecting to be that high. In terms of damage taken, I was right up there with Fiora, beyond Nautilus. Healing done, of course it's going to meet with Drain. And you can see the gold. Anyway, Fiddlesticks in the jungle for you guys. I'm the Hero of Light. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.